Yo, what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka BN. Today, we are going to be taking a look at all the kingdoms that are in the Gen 3 KvK pool for Season of Strife. We're going to show you advanced stats. We're going to show you who registered for Dragonfall, who registered for Winners Upon Us, did anyone go for Calling of Courage, how many people did a DNR, which is a did not register. We're going to show you the teams that have been formed so far, and then just talk about... Yeah, man, this is an interesting one. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the craziest KvK pool so far out of the first three that have gone into Season of Strife, just based on the amount of kingdoms and where they registered. It's pretty wild. If you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So let's first define and show you all the kingdoms that actually are in the KvK pool. So it's all the ones, if you go now to pre-war on Season of Strife, so all of these, and then all the kingdoms here on pre-strife for pre-war. Now, let's go ahead and get you in to the goods, for I'm sure why a number of you are here. I'm going to skadoosh some of these up. So this is the overview that we have so far, right? So this is the timeline. We have 145 kingdoms involved out of all the ones I just showed you on the pre-war for pre-strife and Season of Strife. Out of 145, we have 109 kingdoms that have a king or queen. That's 75.17%. The amount of realms that registered are 70.64%. Now, that is the total number between Dragonfall and COC. You could see here, only 59 kingdoms out of the 109 kings or queens registered. That is, folks, a little more than 50%, right? Maybe 55, 56%, give or take. 18 of the kingdoms that registered for Calling of Courage, which, keep in mind, isn't even the second most recent KvK storyline. It's the third most. It's the first one that came out. And then, at least from what I can remember, and then we had 32 kingdoms that could have registered but did not register. That is crazy. That's more than half of the kingdoms that could have registered out of the half of Dragonfall. It is wild. So these are all the kingdoms that did, and I'm going to show you on the sheet now, and I'm also going to sort this for you guys based on power, so you could take a look. Let me shrink my face here just a little bit, however that works. There we go. Yeah, I'm super tiny, but just to kind of, figuratively speaking, not literally. You guys know what I mean. Okay, so we have, out of this, here's all the kingdoms in order, and we are going to go top down, right? So there are 9 paragons, which is interesting this time around because in Gen 1 and Gen 2, you had 12 paragons. You had 3 that were A, 3 that were B, 3 C, and 3 D. However, in Gen 3, we're only getting 3 A, Bs, and Cs. So we're not even getting, there's no 3Ds. There's no greens as how I color-coded them before for Gen 1 and 2. So here's all the kingdoms, right? We'll kind of show you these, and then I'm going to show you some of the ones as well that did the DNRs, right? So here's just kind of a quick overview of the kingdoms top down. Here's status. Do they have a king or queen? Where did they register for? And yes, I know some people will be asking me, boss, are you going to make this sheet public? I may make this public. I know people asked me about the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 sheets that I have up here that I don't think I made public. I've just shown it off a couple times. Most likely I probably will make it public at some point, or maybe I'll just have a public version and then a master sheet version that I keep for myself. I just, again, need to find some time to kind of figure that out and just do the formatting. But yes, it may. And if I do make it public, it will be available on my Discord. So a link to that, and it'll be on the data stats tab. Okay, now let me show you the powers here because Fuzzy got me 2 pulls here, one from the 20th and then one from the 26th. And again, right, for those of you that would like some information on any data bot usage, right, for where I get my data from, and you want to get some information, ask some questions to Fuzzy, link to the Discord in the pinned comment description down below. So now let's take a look and do a little sorty sort here for Zipawa. So we're going to go, we're going to do top 300. Let's go 126. And then you're going to see. So appropriately speaking, right, BTX is, look how wild this is, right? Out of the 6 days ago, 99 was 12 billion power. They've doubled, more than doubled in power over for the last 6 days. Well, not the last 6 days is in today. Today's the 28th. But from the 20th to the 26th, wild. And you could see like where these people were. Now, keep in mind, migration hadn't ended yet, right? You still had about a 2-day window, I believe, and it ended on the 22nd, right? Because we had, on the 22nd, right? So you had a 2-day window from the 20th to the 22nd that you could still migrate to a kingdom. And so it's just crazy. But anyways, let's look, right? You could see the before and afters, right? I think it's very interesting. So you have appropriately the top 3 kingdoms that have A. This is exactly how it should be. You have the top 3 kingdoms that have been designated as Paragon, right? From the A's. Okay. Look at this. You had KOV from 276, 4th strongest kingdom in the group, did a DNR and did not register. Listen, I'm not trying to sit here and call people out, but it's like, man, why? And this isn't like me calling them out. It's just to say that I wish the system just put everyone into Dragonfall. Like whatever the newest, whatever the most recent season is, it just puts everyone in there. And okay, if you want to do this DNR and you want to push your kingdom and not register, I'm iffy on that. I would rather everyone just be automatically registered how it is when you're coming out of season 1 and you're going into season 2. And even I'm not sure if you can skip. I don't know if you can skip pre-strife that I'm thinking about now. I'm failing to remember. But when you're going into season 2, from what I understand, you can't skip season 2. So you have to go from season 1, your home kingdom, into season 2. And I just wish, simply put, that everyone got forced into whatever the most recent storyline or KvK chapter is, just so it makes everything easier. And then, because the challenge is that when you don't have a lot of kingdoms that are in a kingdom pool for a particular storyline, KvK storyline, now all of a sudden you're reducing and you're weakening the balance and the fairness of matchups. Now you have a higher percentage chance to get wider, more imbalanced matchups, ones that are more polarizing and just unfair. And it can also reduce the likelihood that players, alliances, and kingdoms will participate to the fullest extent. We've already seen that in some of the Gen 2 and some of the Gen 1 KvKs, where because some of the matchups were not as fair as they could have been, we didn't see up to the max potential of fighting. There was still some fighting, but just not as much as we probably could have had if the match was a little bit fair. And the only way you can really get that is by having a wider and bigger kingdom pool. You have to have a lot of kingdoms in the same pool, so the margin of error is a lot less. So yeah, it sucks. I'll just say that. It just sucks that 276 to the DNR. Now, they may still, I don't know if it is going to push them or if they may still get put in, right? Because keep in mind, you can only, I think, skip 3 times, then it'll automatically put you in. So we'll see how that plays out. Even 191, Y with 14 BS, they did a DNR. Now, what's interesting to me is what happens here is that you have the A's and then you have the B's. But however, one of the most interesting things is why didn't 125 and 354 get the B grade Paragon? Why did only Lion get the B grade Paragon? However, if we scroll down, you'll see that EXP and MVP got it. But as of 2 days ago, their top 300 power was 8.5 and 8.2 billion. How do you mess that up? I don't get it. Right? How do you make that? It feels like a mess up, right? Visually speaking, it does. Why would BV and Sin not get the top B seed there for Paragon status? Now, maybe there's something with the system. The idea being is when registration ends, you should be right? No one else is coming in, and then you're going to get your classification, right? Because if you look here, once registration finishes, you can't migrate in anymore. So you have the 2-day window, which really, I mean, to be honest, you probably don't need 2 days to get your classification status, right? I would imagine 1 day at most, or you can just go right from registration, and once it ends, the system just tallies everyone up, and then you immediately get your classification grade. Like, part of me feels like that shouldn't be a 2-day process, right? And so, again, I feel like this is a blunder. So yeah, it sucks to see. Then you get a C-grade kingdom, which is at 9.77. Now, keep in mind, let me be clear here. Some of these kingdoms could have just powered up. Some of them also. There is going to be some variance. However, do I think 125 and 354 powered up by billions of power after registration finished in the past 2 days? I just think it's unlikely. Could it happen? Sure. But do I think it's unlikely? Very much so. I would be curious to hear from 125 and 354 if maybe there is just something, some logic behind why this happens, or if other people are wondering what I'm wondering as I look at the data. The next thing here is GOS on 155. Is there the possibility that they just powered up? Because you got to look at this, right? You even have a B here that's 6.7. And again, some of this could be just, I don't know, maybe people killing off troops. I don't know. Maybe it's they're healing back up. That could be a thing too as well if they didn't. So maybe there's some fluctuation here that is kind of within reason because it's not super wide. But again, that to me I think is interesting. Maybe the 155C thing is a little curious, right? But it's not as though, like again, you got 7.9, 9.7. I mean, it is 2 billion more. And then you have the rest of the Cs kind of evening it out at low 7. So yeah, maybe it is a decent enough push on power to kind of wonder what's going on. But then you have kind of the C group. You have B, which is Moon, and then you have some Ds and Cs down here. But again, right, even at the C level, right, why didn't 155 get Paragon? Why didn't 410 get to the C Paragon? Why didn't XSJ get the C Paragon? Right? Instead, you have 128, 146, and 135, right? You have a 4.5 bill, a 6.5, and a 6.9. Why didn't any of the seven bills, right, get it? Or, right, again, did they heal up? Did they power up afterwards, right? Were the top 3 C kingdoms given Paragon? And that's how it would have looked if maybe we pulled the data the moment the classifications were done, right? So, for example, if we would have pulled it on, and maybe that's something we can do next time, is maybe we'll pull it on the 24th, right? So when it goes in, we can do the scan right after reset, and maybe that will be a little more indicative, right? So maybe it'll be a little clearer. However, that is interesting to me. As we keep scrolling down, again, you'll see a bunch of other DNRs. You see the C and Ds here too as well. I don't know. 393. Now I'm looking at this, and 410. Oh, sorry, 410 was a D. Oh yeah, and this was COC. That's why, yeah, because the only classifications we can see are the ones for DF. Got to figure these things out. But yeah, you could basically see, right? Look at this. So here's the range, right? You got 194 million, right, is the low end. Right, so you have 111 kingdoms at 1 bill power or more. You got 92 kingdoms at 2 bill power or more. You have 69 kingdoms at 3 bill power and more. And you got 56 at 4 bill or more, 51 at 5 bill or more, 47 at 6 bill or more, 42 at 7 bill or more, 34 at 8 bill or more, 30 at 9 bill or more, and you got 24 at 10 bill or more. And then you get to the top end here, and it really starts kind of pushing. Right, once you get to like the top 3, I mean at the A's. Now, what I will say, and this is one of the most interesting things that I'm now going to show you on the team page, and just for sake of making things a little bit more digestible, I am going to remove my cam. These are the teams at the moment. You may be wondering, boss, why is it that some kingdoms are not teamed up, even though they registered? So someone told me an interesting story from Rise of Kingdoms on how in either the Light and Dark KvK or one of the KvK storylines, how it is a thing that some kingdoms will do to circumvent the team-up phase and almost as a way to force team themselves together, where they will not team up. They'll remain a single kingdom by themselves, basically a solo team, and they'll coordinate with other kingdoms to basically try to have a higher chance of maybe getting paired up as a way to also circumvent the Paragon status, right? Because the idea being is that with the Paragons, right, you can't have 2 Paragons that are in the same, from my understanding, right? So you can't have 2 A's in the same, you can have 2 B's in the same. Now, the one thing I'll have to read up on, because I am blanking on this at the moment, is if you could have an A and B Paragon in the same team. But again, I just can't recall. I mean, even if I look at my previous sheets here for teams, I didn't even mark it like I'm marking it here. This is making it a little bit easier. I'm sure we could just go in game and read it. But I think logically it would almost be nice if, part of me feels like if you don't have enough teams, then you should be able to have an A and B Paragon together. But if you have 6, you would at least need 6 teams, right? And here you could have 6 teams. It's not like you can't get 6 teams. You're going to have 6 AB teams. But also, the challenge is that it would be easier to separate the Paragons if you had more kingdoms in the kingdom pool. And you just don't, sadly. So anyways, with all that being said, these are some of the matchups I think could happen based on the 4 groups that are here. However, we still need to figure out what this group with 131, 267, and 273, they would need 1 from here, and then the other 4 would be together. The challenge here is that no matter how you slice it, you almost have to put BTX or NN with 131, 267, and 273 there's no way they'd be able to stick 2 A's together, right? So what that means is that it would either be 19, 99, 109, 409 or 19, 109, 140, 409. That still is going to be a beast of a team. It probably would be the strongest team just based on 100 mils. It depends, because 99 obviously. See, and that's the thing that I wonder is based on this, maybe 99 would go with 131, 267, and 273, because you look at the amount of 100 mils and this team has the lowest amount, right? So maybe you just do that to make it as fair as possible, but even then it wouldn't be. I mean, just look at this. They have 122, basically almost double the top 2 groups at the moment just based on 100 mil players. Like, it's absolutely crazy. Obviously, there's not as many total T5s, but I mean, you can argue that having about double probably makes up for about a 60 to 70 difference in 60 mil plus players, I would argue. So I don't know, man, like, it's rough because, I mean, yeah, could you maybe swap one of the teams here in this group because they don't have an A or B, and then you slide in maybe 140 there? It's just, I don't know, right? And then you swap one out, then maybe 99 goes somewhere else. Again, it's just, the challenge, once again, it just feels like to me it's all coming back down to we just don't have enough. Right? We don't have enough kingdoms in the pool. But this is how I've organized it so far because there's only 4 teams right now that have a full team set. So my thought is, I mean, if you look at the A2A and the WoW group here with 147, 312 across here, these numbers don't look bad, right? Sure, there's a little bit more power here, but you have a little bit more total 60 mil plus players, and you got 2 more 100 mils, and you have a little bit more power on the WoW side. I don't see this as being awful. Right? I actually see this as a very close matchup if they were to get paired. If you look at the next one, which would be MVP BV, which is 125, 136 group, this I don't think is awful either. You have a little bit more power, about 4.3 billion. You have a little bit more kills in favor of them, but you have almost double 100 mils. You got about plus 50 on the 60s. This is probably a little bit more in favor of MVP, or the MVP 136 group, but I don't think it's ridiculously unbalanced. But it is decently, I will say. And then the challenge is that we can't really say anything about the rest because they don't have teams yet. I wish that the teams would just be formed and you're unable either. And if you go solo, then they just automatically pair you within the next 24 hours. I just don't know if like this whole waiting period, it's like, because now we may not find out until the season begins. And that would just suck because I feel like that's what happened in Gen 1 and Gen 2. When we get to the CDs, however, you only have 2 groups that have max formed. Right? You have 4 people over here, so you can fit 1, you can fit 2 here and 1 here, so you're still 1 short. But if you're looking at the 2 groups that have a full team right now, which is the TFT and -LV, which is the 127 to 128 group, I mean, on paper, it's double the power. However, they have 4 less 100 mil pluses, and they have 9 less 60 mil plus players. They got more kills put in. They got more deads put in. I don't know. Part of me says this is a little bit in favor of the LV side at the moment just because of the overall amount of power difference and the fact that they have more kills and more deads accumulated. I don't know if I'm going to say it's overwhelmingly on their side, but it feels to me like I have to give a little bit of an edge there just because the 60 mil plus and the 100 mil plus numbers are close. And that's only if they got matched up. Again, we don't know because not all the teams are full. So to me, it just kind of sucks. I really wish that all the teams would be. So that way we could see that once the team up phase finishes, right? So it essentially would have been, once matchmaking hits 126, but now we have to wait until season begins or maybe post-Brink of War, whatever it is, right? But it's probably going to be season begins before we can see who gets matched up. And that's the interesting part is that it's like they took away the result phase. I don't know if anyone really is noticing that here. They had the result phase before. So you had the result phase, I believe, after matchmaking, and then it went into Brink of War, and then the season begins. I don't understand why they took the result phase out where we can't see who's getting matched up with who, because I feel like that's what they did in Gen 1 and Gen 2, right? So if we go Gen 2, look at this. Matchmaking was 2 days, then you had the results. Gen 1, same thing. Matchmaking, 2 days, then you have the results. Why is that not the case here? That part is a little confusing to me, unless I'm in a kingdom for some reason that, yeah, no, I'm not, right? This is the one I'm looking at is 409 right now that we were just taking a look at, and they're right here. So again, they're registered for Dragonfall. So I don't understand what the removal of the results phase is or what it does. But yeah, it's rough. That's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, until next time, let me turn my cam back on. I will catch you later.